All right. So thank you, Sue, for coming today. I know you have a very busy schedule. Um, I'd like to introduce you, but I mean, I think everybody kind of knows you. But if you'd like to say something about yourself to the community.
Sure, sure. Look right at the camera.
Sure, by all means.
Hi, folks. I'm Sue LeBlanc. I had been the MLA for Dartmouth North for 7 years, and now I'm running for re-election as the NDP candidate in this provincial election. Before I was in politics, I was a performer. I'm a theater maker and singer and actor and a teacher of acting as well. And I'm a mom of two cute kids and one cute dog.
Absolutely cute dog and very, very cute kids. Yes. All right. So we're going to start off with a question that you're very well aware of, that in Ocean Breeze, we're facing the reality of affordable housing being demolished, tenants being evicted, and there being no affordable units available in this local market. What would you do to make sure that this situation doesn't happen again?
Well, I think one thing is that we need to make sure that we're just focusing on building affordable homes that people can afford. So the next time a situation which is awful that is happening here happens, there would be affordable options for people. So we need to increase the supply of affordable options, as well as supply in general, because our population is increasing. People need places to live, but people need homes that they can afford. So that's number one. The NDP's platform includes building 30,000 quickly built, affordable rental units and 500 prefabricated homes, single family homes, that could be part of a rent to own program. So folks would be able to move into a house, pay rent geared to income, and then all of that rent for 5 years would go into an equity pot so that they would be able to use it towards the purchase of the home.
That's a great plan.
Yeah.
That's a great plan. All right. So for socially responsible development, what do you think the government or our local MLA should ask of Basin Heights, the property owners, to do regards to their social responsibility to the residents of Ocean Breeze as well as the larger community? We haven't really seen any evidence of that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very hard to compel corporate developers to have to make decisions that are for the greater good. I mean that is not the business that corporations are in. They're in the business of making money. So I think that in order to make sure that people are being treated well and fairly, we need to change policies at the government level and then make sure that that there are rules in place. So, for instance, the rule about giving people a certain amount of time and giving them payment to leave, I think is important. I think it could be improved, but that has helped certain people relocate from this area. So, but that's they were compelled to do that by government policy, not out of their own goodwill or whatever.
Right.
So yeah, I think that in terms of protecting tenants and renters, we just need to improve the policies. So, making sure that there's a massive investment in affordable choices, making sure that rent evictions aren't happening at the alarming rate that they are, or they're not happening because landlords are just trying to get more money for units.
Right.
And making sure that there are policies in place to include affordable, like inclusionary zoning or affordable choices within any development. But I also do think, though, that we do need to look to not-for-profits and co-ops and publicly run or publicly built, at least, affordable choices, because not-for-profits are not in it for profit. They are in it. They have to pay their bills, and there has to be a certain amount of rent collected, obviously. But the end purpose of those places is housing, not profit.
So for rent control, what is your proposal with regards to keeping rents affordable for Nova Scotia? And how does this relate to the use of fixed term leases?
Yeah, well, I think if we had a proper form of rent control, or an actual control of rent as opposed to a rent cap, then we would see the use of fixed term leases lessening and lessening, because right now they're being used so that people can get around the rent cap. And I will say very clearly, because I know this will be something that is said of me, is that I am not suggesting that all landlords are using fixed term leases to get around a rent cap, but I certainly know that there are some. So I am not painting all landlords with the same brush. I know there are quote unquote good landlords and bad landlords and everything in between. But the fact is that when there is very high costs for keeping buildings going, and a rent cap that has been arbitrarily chosen without any kind of analysis, the fact is that some landlords are trying to get around it to raise the rents. So all that being said, we need a form of rent control where the control or the price is connected to the unit, not the person. So that means that if there's a unit here that's $1,000 or $1,200 and someone moves out of it, the next renter is paying $1,200, not $2,200, which is what we're seeing in many, many buildings. So like I've been door knocking for the last month, and often I'll hear from somebody in a building where they're paying, a reasonable amount, $1,000, $900, but the person across the hall is paying like $2,000, almost double. And so, the person who's paying the lesser amount is feeling very lucky and thinking like, I cannot leave here because if I do, the next choice is going to be something much higher. So that's a real problem because it means that people are staying in unsafe situations. It's meaning, that there might be an unhealthy unit that they refuse. There might be stuff wrong with the unit, but they're afraid to ask the landlord about it because they're afraid of losing their housing. So rent control tied to the unit. But of course, in our sort of idea of rent control, we would also have a mechanism in which landlords would be able to apply to residential tenancies or whatever board was managing it to ask for a larger increase based on, the actual costs that they're incurring. So we know the costs are high. We know that oil is high. We know property taxes are going up. We know that roofs cost a lot to replace. And so if a landlord is facing those kinds of increases, then there would be a mechanism for them to ask for a larger increase.
So real rent control.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Absolutely. So how do you propose to increase the stock of truly affordable housing in Nova Scotia, and more particularly in HRM and Dartmouth? And the big question is, will this be in time for the people left in Ocean Breeze?
I mean, my hope would be, so we've looked at lots of types of housing that are quick to build. So prefab homes. So in my neighborhood in Dartmouth North, there's a lot of what are called stories and a half. And they're like little small houses with like half an attic or half a upstairs. I live in one. And they were built post-war. They were prefabricated homes, and they were for families coming home from the war or resettling, built quickly and cheap. And they were affordable homes at the time. And we can do the same thing again. We have a model that's working very well up in True North Crescent, another part of Dartmouth North, where they're beautiful, energy-efficient townhouses being built very quickly. And they're like packaged homes, or homes in a box, as it were, right. but they're well made. So we would like to do that. You can do them for rental units, but you can also make single family homes, like I said. And so if we were to take, governments make choices about how they spend their money, and there's money to be spent, and budgets are about choices. And the NDP would prioritize quickly built, affordable homes. And so my hope would be that by the time the last tenants need to be relocated from Ocean Breeze, that there would be places for them to go.
And of course, this is another issue that's very important to a lot of people here at Ocean Breeze, as well as all of Nova Scotia. What steps will you take to improve healthcare services, particularly mental health care, and ensure that everyone has access to a healthcare provider?
Yeah. So we'll start with the first one first, or the last one first, which is access to primary care. So in Dartmouth North, we are getting a new health primary care clinic, which is due to the very hard work of many residents from the community. And I'm very excited by that. So there'll be some new doctors, new nurse practitioners, and I like
the numbers.
How many of each? Well, I've heard 2 and 2 for now, but if you build it, they will come. So that is set to open in the winter, or I think like in the winter, early spring. Yeah, it's under construction. So, but that model could be repeated all over the place. So the NDP platform talks about building 15 new doctor clinics in communities around the province, and that the vision that we have for this would be in the same way that your address dictates what school your kids go to. that your address would dictate what health center you're attached to, so that no matter where you move in the province, say you move to Eastern Passage, well, because of your address, your kids go to this school and you belong to this doctor clinic. And so this is, an idea whose time has come, so that people are guaranteed an attachment at a clinic depending on where they live, according to their address. So that's primary care, and that can be done. In terms of mental health, something that I have witnessed and heard a lot about in the last several years is that people who are in mental health crisis do not benefit necessarily from a 911 call where police attend the call. So I know that that is changing and there's lots of training going on, but what we would like to see is a fourth emergency service. So we have fire, ambulance, and police, and we should have a fourth emergency service, which is mental health service. And so these would be teams that are dispatched from the 911 system that would go out, but there'd be civilians, social workers, maybe healthcare professionals would be dispatched to calls for crisis. We have a model of this already called the Mobile Mental Health Crisis Unit that happens in HRM, but it needs to be expanded, and it needs to be expanded throughout the province. So this is an important thing. I remember, I started working on this idea around the time that George Floyd was killed. And I attended a number of online discussions about, mental health and police responses. And there was a number of experts in the States that suggested that this is the kind of thing that needs to start happening in all cities and provinces everywhere. And I think the idea is a good one.
I've seen that a lot with the opioid crisis across the country. They've started units like that, which is also with mental health. That's a great plan. I like that idea. Is there anything else you want to say to the community while we're standing here around these boarded up homes?
I mean, I've said this before, but I'll say it again. Like, I find it kind of unbelievable, and I'm not living the day-to-day, stress of this, but in part of Dartmouth North, we have giant tent encampments, and in other parts of Dartmouth North, we have literally homes that are being torn down that were affordable homes. And I know there's all kinds of complicated issues in that, but the reality is that there are people without homes, and there are people that and there are homes that are here and need to be used. I think. I understand the need for development and density, and I'm completely on side with that, but we just need to have homes that people can afford.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much for coming out. I know you've done a lot more to do tonight, so good luck.
Thanks. And thank you. And thank you for all the work you do for the people of Ocean.
Oh, thank you very much.